Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, everybody, we're starting now. So if you're getting ready for some questions, I've got canned questions in front of me, and I got 4 polling questions. And Tim, we ought to ask those questions in reverse: 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, that's fine.
It just makes more sense.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Thank you for joining us tonight. Ken Buck will be on with us in just a couple of minutes. We want more neighbors to join us on the call. If you have a question of Ken Buck, please, by all means, press 00 on the keypad on your phone. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. We want you to ask questions of Ken. The election is here upon us. Most of you, or at least a lot of you, already have your ballots in the mail. I know I have my ballot. I got mine, I think, Tuesday, believe it or not. But anyway, if you have a question to Ken, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. And if you want to provide us your email address so you can get email updates between now and primary election day, by all means, please press 7. That's 7 on the keypad on your phone. I'll do this one more time, and then I'll bring Ken Buck on the call with us. Again, welcome, everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. We appreciate you joining us tonight. We're going to be on for the next hour. We want you to ask Ken questions. The best way to do that is to press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. If you press 7 on the keypad on your phone, you can provide us your email address so you can get email updates from the campaign from now until actually November 4th because we expect to win the primary. But anyway, welcome again. Again, press 0 on the keypad on your phone, and I now introduce you to Ken Buck. Ken, take it away, please.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you very much, and thanks, folks, for being on the phone today. I just want you to know that I am running very hard. Things are looking good on the ground. We're getting a lot of good feedback. My number one priority is to fix the financial mess created by Congress back in Washington, D.C. We have almost $18 trillion in debt, $100 trillion of unfunded liabilities. Congress has been overspending for so long that we are financially bankrupt. And if we continue to saddle our children and grandchildren with our debt, we are also morally bankrupt. The 3 things that I want to make sure you understand I am going to fight for. One is a balanced budget amendment, a constitutional balanced budget amendment. The second is a constitutional amendment to term limit senators and representatives. And I want you to be sure that the laws that apply to you and your family concerning health care, concerning retirement, will apply to me and my family also. Kurt, let's get on with some good questions.
And we have something that came in earlier today. I did want to remind the audience that if they did have a question, please by all means press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone, and that's 0 on the keypad on your phone. Don't be shy. We're here to take your questions if we can. And the first question comes up, and it comes from Jim. Will you support the repeal of Obamacare?
Yes. Just a very short answer, yes. I hope it comes to a vote next year, and I am going to, and we are going to have a patient-centered, market-based approach to deal with health care in the future. But yes, I will support repealing Obamacare.
And then let's take another one that came in earlier today. And again, press 0 on the keypad on your phone if you have a question. What committees in Congress will you seek to serve on?
And that's a great question, Kurt. I think there are a number of committees, and it just depends on openings and seniority and other factors. But I feel so strongly about the deficits and the spending problems that we've got that I'd love to serve on the Budget Committee. I think that energy is a really important industry in the 4th Congressional District in Colorado, and so the Energy Committee would be one. And then, of course, the Ag Committee. The 4th Congressional District is blessed to have the great agricultural resources that we have, and I think it's important that we have a voice on that committee. So those are 3 that I would seek, and, of course, I would accept whatever I could to represent the 4th.
And we're going to take a live question next, but before we do, for the people just joining us, just as a reminder, if you'd like to ask Ken a question, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. And if you'd like to provide us your email address for email updates, please press 7. We're going to take Marilyn live next. Marilyn, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Marilyn, where in the district are you from, and what's your question, please?
I'm from Douglas County, and I've been so proud of the state of Colorado for all my entire life. I cannot believe that the state approved the sale of drugs, and it is so dangerous. And I just see the drug cartels just waltzing down the street hand to hand with our governor. and I think we need to get rid of this horrible, horrible disease that's causing so many problems and accidents with our young people. And
Ken?
Yes. Marilyn, thanks for that question. I agree with you. I was one of the chairs on the Vote No on 64 campaign. I worked very hard to try to defeat Amendment 64, and I still am opposed to the legalization of marijuana. It's a decision that the voters of this state made, and I think it's a decision that the voters of the state are going to have to make again someday. I don't think that the federal government should come in and take over that issue, but I do think that we should be, within the state, examining very closely the effects of legalizing marijuana on our schools, on our young people, on other, traffic accidents and in other areas, so that we can make a very good argument in the future why legalizing marijuana is so dangerous.
So for the people just joining us again, excuse me, as a reminder, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone if you have a question of Ken, and press 7 on the keypad on your phone if you want to provide us your email address. We're going to take Mary next. Mary, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Mary, where are you from in the district, and what's your question, please?
I'm from Longmont, and my question is for you, Mr. Buck, is today Senator Bennett here in Colorado introduced a bill in the Senate that would limit the ability for retired senators and congresspeople to become lobbyists after they leave office. And I was wondering if you would support that. Should you be elected to the office? And if not, why not?
I absolutely would support it. I think that the situation in D.C. is much too cozy. I think people develop relationships while they serve in the Senate or in the House, and then they get out and they take advantage of those relationships for profit. And I think it's wrong. I think it's something that really does not pass the smell test, the appearance of impropriety. And it's one of the issues. I don't agree with Senator Bennett on a whole lot of issues, but it's one of the issues that I agree with him on and I would support. And I just feel real strongly, and it's one of the reasons why I support term limits for our senators and representatives, because I just think that you put a good person in a bad atmosphere for long enough, and that person is going to be corrupt. And I hope that Michael Bennet, frankly, stands up and, as part of this Clean Government Act, decides to term limit himself. I hope he stands up and says, you know what, I'm not going to run again, because I understand the dangers of the atmosphere that I have put myself in.
And if you have a question of Ken, please press 0 for the people still getting on the call. And if you'd like to provide us your email address so we can send you email updates, please press 7. Meanwhile, let's take Bonnie. Bonnie, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Bonnie, where are you from? And what's your question, please? Bonnie, are you there?
Oh, yes, I am. Excuse me. I'm from Elizabeth, Colorado. And when Mr. Buck ran for office before, he was against abortion. And then he ended up being with the pro-abortion people. I just want to know where he stands and if he's going to be changing his mind again.
Bonnie, I appreciate that question, because there is an absolute misconception out there. I have never been in favor of abortion in any way, shape, or form. I am pro-life. I am strongly against abortion. I will work very hard in the United States Congress to make sure that we don't have federal funding for abortions, that we don't have late-term abortions, and I will do everything I can. I believe that life begins at conception and should be respected. I am so sick and tired, Bonnie, of the nasty and disingenuous and deceitful commercials that have been run on issues like that. And it's just sad that Republican politics has gotten to the point where we attack each other with lies. Nothing could be further from the truth. And I'll give you a perfect example. Our current congressman from the 4th Congressional District, Cory Gardner, has a 100% voting record for life. And he has been called pro-choice by the same groups that are out there now saying that I have switched my position. It is an absolute lie, and I very much appreciate you asking that question so that I could clarify my position on it.
Thank you, Ken Buck. Let's take another question right away. By the way, if you have a question, press 0 on the keypad on your phone. Joan's next. Joan, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Joan, where are you from, and what's your question, please?
I'm from Albert, Colorado. Hello?
Welcome, and go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm from Albert. And what my concern is what the schools are teaching our children, and it's just not the reading, writing, and arithmetic. It seems to be that we don't have to follow rules that's within the home, and I think this was a very strong Christian nation at one time that had some very high moral rules toward rearing our own children without government interference. I feel that we have had more problems since the government says you can't discipline your child with a swat to the butt. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. With a swat when it's needed.
Ken, what are your thoughts about what Joan's saying, please?
Joan, I think that we need to make sure that the federal government is not involved in education. And that was the first part of your question, as I understand it. We don't need Common Core in our schools. We don't need a Department of Education. We need to make sure that the people that are in the school district, the school board, the principals, the superintendent, the parents, the teachers, the principals, the student himself or herself need to be the ones that decide what the curriculum is and also the nature of the school. I'm a very big proponent of homeschooling, and I believe that a lot of the best decisions are made by parents in the home on education, as well as discipline. And as a prosecutor, I can tell you, while I want to make sure that children are not abused or neglected, allowing parents to set boundaries for children is very important. I'm the father of 2 children. I'm very proud of how my children grew up, and I can tell you that we had boundaries in my home.
So let's take another question with that if we can. Again, one last time, as people are still joining the call, if you have a question, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad on your phone. And if you want to provide us your email address, please press 7. Next, we're going to take Harry. Harry, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Harry, where are you from, and what's your question, please? Harry. Harry's question is Obamacare Act, can it be revised? And he's from Elbert County.
Well, Harry, I think that we need to repeal Obamacare. I don't think we should revise it, and I think it's very important that we make sure that we are creating a patient-centered, market-based approach. And by that I mean that the best decisions are made between a doctor and a patient, and the government should not be interfering with those decisions.
So with that, let's take another question. This one's going to be from Nancy. Nancy, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Nancy, where are you from, and what's your question, please?
Well, actually, I'm from California. Sometimes I wish I was still there. I'm in the Weston area, Los Animas County. We live out in the county, and we're surrounded by gas wells, and that's why I'm calling, because I'd like to know where Mr. Buck stands with gas drilling and fracking.
Okay, well, thank you for the question. I am in favor of the safe development of all of our energy resources. And I live in Weld County. We have a lot of fracking in Weld County, and I have not seen anything that has indicated to me that the drilling for oil wells or fracking is dangerous. If it does, if I do see evidence of that, I will certainly look at that very closely. But I am a strong proponent of developing our energy resources in this country so that we can create jobs, we can create an economy that can compete in the world marketplace, we can keep our energy costs low really for the most vulnerable among us, the folks who are really hurting to pay for gas for their car in heating bills in the wintertime, need to be protected, and we need to do everything we can to develop all types of energy.
Thank you, sir. We're going to knock out a couple of polling questions, survey questions, as it were, if we could. The first one goes like this. Will you support Ken in the Republican primary on June 24th? Please press 1 if the answer is yes, 2 if it's no, and 3 if you're undecided. Will you be supporting Ken in the Republican primary on June 24th? 1 is yes, 2 is no, and 3 is undecided. We really appreciate your participation. While you're voting, we're going to take Dana. Dana, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Dana, where are you from, and what's your question, please?
I live in Douglas County, and I actually have it's a two-part question, though. It relates to kind of the same issue. Like many voters, I am very dismayed about the changes in the political culture in the state of Colorado. I'm a fifth-generation Colorado native, and the way, the direction I see our state going has me greatly concerned. Also, the way things are being done in Washington has me very, very concerned and fearful for the future of our country. I think one of the keys to those two issues is for the Republican Party to change the operating procedures that they have been following the recent years. And I'd like to know Ken's thoughts on that. For instance, what kind of outreach can we do to pull in blocks of voters who have left the Republican Party and yet still preserve our conservative values, not to sell ourselves out to say, oh, we're for open door immigration policy, but somehow we need to reach the conservatives, the reasonable people in those voting blocks that
Ken, what are your thoughts on what Dan has been saying, please?
Well, I agree. We have to reach out as a Republican Party, and I see that effort, and it is being more and more successful. And one of the reasons it's more and more successful is young people and Latino voters and many other groups of voters are seeing the failed policies of big government. And if we can just offer those voters the free market, small government, limited government, low tax plan that the Republicans offer, and it has been so successful for so many decades in this country, I think those folks will agree with us and they will come to our side. The young people who are coming out of college right now are burdened by education loans. They need a good job to be able to pay off those loans, and our plan for getting this economy back on track and offering jobs to those young people is the best plan out there. It is clear that big government bailouts and big government regulations do not work and do not help young people getting jobs. So I think you'll see a lot more young people voting Republican in 2014 than have voted Republican in the past. And I was just at an event last night with several Latino voters who came up to me and talked about how the Democrat Party has walked away from them. The Democrat Party has taken them for granted, and they are small business people who are very interested in the Republican Party and wanted more information and are really energized to help us win in November.
Thank you, Ken. One last call on this. If you'd like to ask Ken a question, please press 0. That's 0 on the keypad in your phone. And if you'd like to provide us your email address, please press 7. Another survey question. The survey question goes like this. Have you already returned your ballot? In other words, have you voted already? If you have, press 1. If you're still planning on doing it, press 2. And if you're just not gonna, press 3. Have you already turned in your ballot? Press 1 for yes, 2 for you're planning on it but haven't done it yet, or press 3, you're just not going to. We really appreciate your participation on this. We are going to take Jan next. Jan, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Jan, where are you from, and what's your question, please?
I'm Jan from Castle Rock, and I wanted to ask the same question I asked Ronald Reagan before he was governor. What are your views on the morals of our young?
Well, that's an interesting question. I can tell you that I think that the young people that I come into contact with, I'm very impressed with. My children and their friends. Of course, my son went to West Point. My daughter went to Clemson in South Carolina. They both picked good friends, and I am just thrilled to be associated with those young people. As a prosecutor, I have seen many young people who have made bad choices and don't really understand the responsibilities that come with being an American and with living in a free country like we live in. And so I have some concerns, but I also have great hope for our future. Those young people are really the engine that will drive our economy, and I am very optimistic that they will do a great job.
We're going to another survey question. This one's quite easy. Would you like to volunteer for Ken's campaign? We're coming up to the stretch drive. We need all hands on deck. If you would, please press 1. That's 1 on the keypad on your phone, and we'll give you a call back and tell you how you can help out. So if you'd like to volunteer, please press 1. Let's take Chuck next. Chuck, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Chuck, where are you from, and what's your question, please?
My name is Chuck. I'm from Larkspur. My question is, where are you at on the Second Amendment gun rights? Because
Go ahead, Ken.
Chuck, thank you for that. I am supported by the Gun Owners of America. They have been very kind to me, and I am just 100% on board with protecting our Second Amendment rights. And I think it's so important that we make sure that we are respecting our Constitution, all aspects of our Constitution. But as a prosecutor, I see day in and day out the advantages of people that are willing to protect their own home, their own family, their own property, and we can't rely on the police to do everything. Really, the police are a reactive force, and it really requires individuals to take safety into their own hands. Of course, I am an advocate for individuals being able to use weapons in the sports areas, not just target shooting, but of course hunting. And I have been a strong advocate in my home county of Weld County for expanded gun rights. We have lockers in the DA's office so that if an individual has a concealed carry permit and goes to the courthouse, they can put their gun in the DA's office and go into the courthouse and do their business and come back and get their gun. I also issued a ruling to the sheriff and police chiefs in Weld County that if an individual was flooded out last fall when we had floods here and had to transfer their firearms to somebody because of the floods, that they did not have to do a background check and they would not be prosecuted if they did transfer those firearms for safekeeping. So I have done my very best to uphold the Second Amendment and make sure that individuals know that their district attorney and hopefully future congressman feels very strongly about our Second Amendment rights.
Let's take Mark next if we can. Mark, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Mark, where are you from, and what's your question, please?
Hello, my name is Mark. I'm from Greeley, and my question regards the debt of this country. I personally believe the debt in its unlimited proportions is responsible for most of the troubles we're suffering. I believe entitlement programs have a colossal impact on our debt, and I believe that income tax has devolved into an entitlement program with the Earned Income Tax Credit, which is being horribly abused. And I would like to know what, as a representative, you would do about our debt.
Well, thanks, Mark. I agree with you. Our debt is a huge issue and has to be addressed. And it's not only the debt and the problems that will be caused when we cannot pay back our debt. It's also the fact that debt really feeds the fire of bigger and bigger government and more regulation and more infringement on our liberties and allowing the government to interfere even more in our lives. And so I think that we need to address the debt on the spending side. I do not believe that we are undertaxed in this country. I believe that we are overspent. And if we can reduce spending, I believe that we will be able to get down the road of reducing our debt. Part of what we've got to do to get rid of our debt and balance our budget is to really create a vibrant economy. And that is a much more complicated issue than just reducing spending. But we've got to have and maintain low energy costs. We've got to change our tax system, as you mentioned, and we've got to make sure that we are creating jobs in this economy. And if we can do that, if we can grow our economy and grow our tax base, I believe we can work our way out of our debt problem without raising taxes. I am opposed to raising taxes.
One more question, one more survey question. If you'd like to contribute to Ken's campaign, please press one on the keypad on your phone. We'll have someone give you a shout back tomorrow to make arrangements for you to donate. So if you would like to donate to Ken's campaign, it takes money to run these large operations to especially as vast of an area that has to be covered in the 4th CD. Please, by all means, press 1. That's 1 on the keypad on your phone. Meanwhile, we're going to take Glenn. And Glenn, we had this question before, but Glenn didn't hear it, so we're going to have Glenn ask it again. Glenn, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Glenn, where are you from, and what's your question, please?
Oh, it's Glenn. I'm from Kersey. I was just curious about the pro-life thing. I know that Ken said that he is pro-life, and I've heard negative ads stating that, maybe he's not really all that way. I would just like to hear his opinion.
Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate that, and I appreciate a question from Weld County. I am pro-life. I believe that the only exception is the life of the mother, and it has to actually be the life of the mother. I am just horrified at the ads out there that suggest that I'm not pro-life. I believe that life begins at conception. I have walked in life walks, life chains around Weld County. I have served on the board of directors of the Genesis Project, and I have been the master of ceremonies for the fundraising dinner for the Genesis Project for several years. Genesis Project is an organization that helps young pregnant women so that they can have their babies and continue with their education and get Christian counseling and really help them move on with their lives and not have to have an abortion. And so there are a number of organizations that I have and my wife have helped and just believe so strongly. And I have walked the walk of being a pro-life Christian, and I am hurt, really personally hurt, by the advertisements that I see that suggest that I'm not. The people that are running those advertisements know that those are lies. And it's sad when people hide behind their faith and hide behind politics to run deceitful advertising like that. So thank you for asking your question.
We have another question coming right up, and it is from Mylese. Mylese, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. I hope I pronounced your name right. Mylese, where are you from?
Did.
Well, the person who took your question phonetically wrote it out, so I had a fighting chance. But anyway.
Well, us Swedish girls, we have these unusual names. It's actually May Elizabeth, but Mylese is what it actually spells out in English. But anyway, my question is, and I have to tell you that I'm a chemist, so when I'm doing a project, I mix everything up and study all the elements. And so I've already voted for Ken because I studied all the other candidates, and there's some very fine people, but Ken beat them all.
So I voted for him yesterday by mailing my ballot in. And my question is, now that he's going to be elected...
Stop. Don't ask your question yet. I got to thank you. I'm ahead 1-0. It's a landslide so far, Marlise. That's great.
Thank you, Ken. Anyway, my question is, and you are a glorious human being and certainly a wonderful pro-life person, and I am stunned by people even intimating that. But like you said, politics is a dangerous thing. But I would like to know, what are the first 2 things that you will do now that you're going to be elected by my one Swedish vote?
I have to tell you, I am so concerned about the debt that I am going to fight for a balanced budget amendment to our Constitution and fight for a balanced budget in every session of Congress that I work in. And many people think that's just a financial issue. It is also a life issue. If you think about what would happen to this country if we went bankrupt, if we could not provide the medical care for our citizens, if we could not provide food for our citizens, if we could not provide security for our citizens, it is just as much a life issue as it is a financial issue, in my opinion. And it's one of the reasons why I feel so strongly about it. And then secondly, I believe we've got to change the culture in Washington, D.C., and part of changing that culture is to have a reasonable term limit on our senators and congressmen. We cannot let good people go to a corrupt atmosphere and stay there so long. And thank you so much, Marlise, for your vote. I cherish each and every vote that I get, and thank you.
Let's take another question right away. It's from Lina. Welcome to our telephone town hall. Lina, where are you from, and what's your question, please? I hear you. Lina, go ahead with your question, if you would, please, from Longmont.
Who?
You are live and in person. Go ahead with your question, if you would, please.
It didn't come through.
Okay, I'll ask it. Non-citizens sometimes vote fraudulently. What can we do about this?
Well, I think we have to have every mechanism in place to make sure that we don't have fraudulent elections. I am in favor of having photo ID for individuals who vote. I am in favor of making sure that we have the resources necessary to investigate and prosecute cases where individuals who are not authorized to vote do vote. And I think that it is absolutely essential that we educate individuals. We want every person to vote who can legally vote, but we want to make sure that people know what is required of them to legally vote. And it is a problem. It is very difficult to judge the extent of the problem, but if there's one thing that will undermine the integrity of our elected officials in this country, it is the people of this country not believing that individuals were elected fairly and honestly. And we've got to make sure that our election system is a fair and honest election system. And it's one of the reasons why I am supporting Wayne Williams for our Secretary of State position, to make sure that we have a proven commodity in that office who will do a great job.
With that, let's take another question if we can. We're going to take it from Barbara. Barbara, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Barbara, where are you from, and what's your question, please?
I live in Kiowa, Colorado. I am so disgusted with our president's wife sticking her nose into school lunch programs. I worked for the school districts for 36 years. She knows nothing about what the kids eat. She knows nothing how they throw the food away, or they don't care to eat because they don't eat it at home. And I'm also wanting to know, why are we letting this president get by with all his lies that he didn't know anything about it? I have had it. I have voted since Eisenhower, and I have never been so ashamed of my country as I am at this point.
Ken?
Well, Barbara, you've asked a lot of questions, and let me try to answer as many as I can remember. I agree with you that the First Lady should not be interfering in our school lunch programs. I think that this is an issue that we really need to make sure that the federal government does not interfere with our education system as a whole. I think that the president has acted shamefully in a number of areas, but just two, for example, to suggest that the ambassador in Libya was murdered because of a film that depicted Allah in some, or the Prophet Muhammad, I guess it was, in some derogatory way was a lie. He knew it was a lie, and it's absolutely wrong for the administration to take that position. And then again, just recently, to suggest that Private Bergdahl fell behind in from his platoon and was separated in that way was also a lie. And it is just shameful that the president acts in that way and that his administration acts in that way. He has been overreaching for so long and not consulting Congress, which he didn't again in the Bergdahl matter. He had to tell Congress when he was releasing the terrorists. He didn't do that. He also was wrong in changing the deadlines on the Affordable Care Act without an act of Congress. As your congressman, I will be back there fighting and holding him accountable to make sure that he does not turn this presidency into some sort of monarchy.
Well stated. We're going to take a question that came in earlier today from Robert. I'd like to know your position on immigration and amnesty for illegals. Ken?
Yes, I am absolutely opposed to amnesty. I think that the answer to our immigration problems, illegal immigration problems in this country, is to create a legal immigration system that works, to secure our border, to have a guest worker program with biometric measures so that we know who is in this country and how long they're allowed to be here, to have the resources for immigrations and customs enforcement so that they can make sure that only individuals that are in the country legally are here, and then and only then do we start to address the issue of what do we do with people that came into this country illegally. I do not trust the federal government, and most of the people that I talk to do not trust the federal government to secure our border or create a guest worker program that works. And so without those two preconditions, I don't even get to the other issues involved in a comprehensive immigration solution.
And this question earlier from Ben today, in your mind, when should we commit American soldiers to fight overseas? That's a good question. Go ahead, Ken.
Well, we should commit American soldiers to fight overseas when we have an act of war declared by Congress and we have an issue, a threat to this country that is so serious and a threat to a vital national interest that is so serious that an act of war must be called. And short of that, we need to do everything we can to solve problems diplomatically. There are a few issues that are brewing right now that I think Congress should be involved in on an almost daily basis with the administration in evaluating. But the president should not be allowed to engage in some sort of war power without congressional approval.
And the next question is live from Marianne. Marianne, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Marianne, where are you from, and what's your question, please?
Dacono, Colorado. And my question is, are you aware? I think I need to restate this. I have a mouthful of stew. That's what's giving me problems. Anyway, are you aware of the extent of euthanasia going on under pretext and pretense in our memory care units, nursing homes, and other places? It's pretty...
Ken?
I am not aware of the extent. I have not seen studies on it. I have certainly been with my parents in nursing homes, and have been in nursing homes as the district attorney to visit people. I have been there for Christmas and other events to try to cheer people up and make sure that those that don't have visitors, I'm able to visit with those folks, and those that don't have family nearby have someone to talk to. But in terms of actually seeing that kind of atrocity, I have not, and I would be just ashamed of any institution that would engage in that kind of conduct.
Let's take another question if we can. It's going to be from John. John, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. John, where are you from, and what's your question, please?
I'm from Los Animas. My question is under any circumstance would Ken Buck vote to raise the debt limit?
John, I would not vote to raise the debt limit. I think it is a terrible mistake to not work every day towards eliminating the debt that we have, and I will not be a vote in favor of the debt limit.
And now a question that came in earlier from Diane. I'm frustrated that so many members of Congress go back on their promises once they are elected. How can we prevent that?
Diane, you have to elect people who have a backbone and who have shown throughout their tenure in public office that they have a backbone. I've been the district attorney in Weld County. I've made a lot of very difficult decisions. I have worked very closely with law enforcement and the community, and the result has been a reduction in the crime rate in Weld County by 50% and a reduction in the juvenile filings in Weld County by 75%. I have made the tough decisions. The office has not changed me, and when I go to Washington, D.C., I will not change.
Our next question is from another John. How do we keep energy prices from increasing in Colorado?
Well, energy prices are a simple function of demand and supply, and unfortunately in a world marketplace, some of the oil cartels are able to manipulate supply and thereby artificially keep price high. We have to do our very best in this country to become as self-sufficient as we possibly can in the energy area, and I think we can become in a 4 or 5 year period sufficient on energy from North America. And if we can do that, we can reduce costs of energy, and I think we can also make sure that we have an abundant supply for decades to come.
And then the last submitted question from earlier today, William, what will be your priorities as a congressman?
Yeah, my priorities will be to fight for a balanced budget amendment and to balance the budget so that we have really a better country for our young people. We avoid the fiscal cliff that is coming if we don't balance our budget, and we make sure that we give the very best chance to young people to get jobs in this economy. My second priority will be to make sure that we term limit our congressmen and senators so that they are not sitting in a corrupt environment for too long. And my third priority will be to really create a vibrant economy by making sure we have sufficient low-cost energy in this country, making sure that we change our tax structure in this country, and making sure that we don't over-regulate from the federal government so that we stifle the creative energy that small business has in this country.
And Rita is next. Rita, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Rita, where you're from, and what's your question, please?
I'm from Longmont. I've been very concerned about what the children have been learning in school. I don't know if it's true that today I heard that they're going to provide contraceptives for the young children and even 11-year-olds. And also, is it true that they have been telling children there's a different lifestyle besides the one that God planned for us and, for family life?
Rita, I don't know exactly what they're teaching in each individual classroom in the 4th Congressional District or in Colorado. I can tell you this, I am opposed to the distribution of birth control in schools. I think that is an issue that parents have to address with their children, and it should not be something that is addressed in school. I do not think that it is up to the schools to teach lifestyle choices. Again, I think that's up to the parents to make sure that they have those conversations with their children. And I am as concerned as you are with the direction of our schools. We should be doing our very best to teach our young people the reading, writing, and arithmetic that they need to be successful in life, giving them a background in the arts, making sure that they have athletic opportunities and musical opportunities. But the social experimentation that's going on is very concerning to me.
We've come to our allotted time tonight. If you didn't get your question asked, please leave us a voicemail at the end so we can get back to you. Leave us your name, your phone number, your email address if you wouldn't mind so we can get back to you that way, and, of course, the question, whether you press 0 or not. So leave us that voicemail, but we need contact information so that we can get back at you. Ken, please bring us to the finish line if you would.
Thanks so much, Kurt, and thanks so much for the folks who have been on this call. It's a great opportunity to visit with you and dispel some of the negative advertising that's going on there, as well as answer some of the tough questions that you've asked tonight. I can tell you this, I want my children and your children to grow up in a better America. And that America doesn't allow the NSA to spy on us. It doesn't encourage the IRS to discriminate against conservatives. It doesn't allow the federal government to push Common Core down our throats. God bless you for being here, and God bless America.